button.
Oh yeah. What is up, party people, vandals, and everybody else? This is a new episode of Hot Flashes, and we're coming at you with some really just kind of fun, but at the same time, slightly disturbing books this week. Especially the first one we're going to talk about. Like, I already kind of knew our boy Adrian was a weird guy, but like diving even further into Trakovi, like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
boy's mad, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about Trakovi, and we also have Ax-Wielder Jon by Nick Pitarra. So those are the two books we'll review on this episode of Hot Flashes. So let's get right into it, and so we'll start with Trakovi.
Yeah, we recently were given the wonderful gift of being able to read all four issues out. Well, that Mr. Cleric has it done so far, and we had previously read the first two because we backed it on Kickstarter, and we've had I think we've had Adrian on almost 10 times on the show. He's basically a cast member at this point, so yeah, it's very welcome, and I was really happy to see the further continuation of this book because, like, I mean, like, it feels like it was when the original Star Wars movies came out when, like, I read the first two issues. You know what I mean? It literally feels like that long.
Yeah. So this book, like we said, we backed the Kickstarter, but eventually it got picked up by Scout Comics. So this book is actually in this month's Diamond previews to order for July. So this will be releasing in July, and you can go pre-order it now through the previews in the Diamonds. So without further ado, we'll get into it. We'll talk about this book and why you guys should go pre-order this book, because it's a lot of fun. We've had Adrian, like Johnny said, and we talked about this book quite a bit. But Adrian made some changes for the Scout edition of it, mainly a few tweaks with the story, a few little updates, just so the story's a little more cohesive for later on. Because, like Johnny said, we read the first four issues, which were pretty fun. It's definitely got kind of a punk rock aesthetic to it. I find, like, in its visual aesthetic, it's definitely got that kind of a lot of, like, graffiti stuff in the background, a lot of splotches on the pages.
Yeah, there's a lot of visual distortion going on that he kind of added in there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, kind of back to the do-it-yourself kind of like flyers from back in the day. Some of the layouts and pages kind of have that vibe to it, although it's all in color. It's not black and white, but it's really cool visually. Like, aesthetically, this book is extremely pleasing to the eye. Adrian does a fantastic job. I love his color palette. I think if anything, this book visually, I mean, I love the colors, and I love his choice of colors for a lot of these panels. I mean, it's vibrant. It jumps off the page. Visually, it's a treat. Like, it's a fun book just to read visually. The story, like, it's fantastic visually, and I gotta hand it to him. He said he struggles with coloring sometimes, but I think he did a fantastic job on the colors.
I'd say, like, probably coloring is his strongest suit. I mean, like, artistically, the book is great all the way around, but, like, yeah, his coloring is probably, like, where he really shines. So I agree with you.
Yeah, and he's got a unique style as well, so it's not going to look like any other book that's out on the shelves. So if you're looking for something different to change it up, definitely like
this book is not like anything else on shelves, especially anything from Scout. Like, I'm not kidding. This book is pretty dangerous. It's got some, like I said, it's pretty disturbing when you get down to it, like what the subject matter is. I mean, sure, it's played up. There's a lot of comedy to it. In a way, it almost reminds me like of a John Waters movie, but
I could, or if like in the vein of, like, those like Fubar, like these low budget kind of like cult kind of movies. It's got that cult feel to it. Like I could see this book getting like a cult following, right? It's got that kind of appeal to it, and the characters are wacky and oddball. A lot of oddball characters.
A lot of
You know,
crude humor, which is good.
yeah, crude humor. If there's a lot of use of the word cunt in it, so people that find that word a little off-putting, like, get ready, because you're going to hear it a few times or read it a few times in this book, because Trakovi, it's one of Trakovi's favorite words. But it makes sense within the story and the character, so it just adds to the character's personality perfectly. Because he's a Slovak and English isn't his first language, so he speaks in like slightly broken English, and the way Adrian does, like, the way he writes their
He spells the words out colloquially. He like spells it out.
yeah, exactly, and that's fantastic. It adds to the story. It's great. I love the way he does that.
You
Yeah,
talk about de-smoke.
this
Yeah.
or is the bats. I don't know who's the bats man.
De-smoking Batman. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's great. Like for that, like the dialogue, I love the dialogue in this, and it's great. It makes me laugh, and it adds to the charm of the book, and it just adds to also the like we said, the oddball, wacky kind of. Like,
Well, the story, the setup for this is it's basically a group of supervillains, or I guess just like henchmen, or basically they're like comic book villains, but they all kind of hang out together and they go to the support group. And Trakovi's kind of like the just rah stupid guy that goes out and just up front being loud. And Boris the Mint is his brother-in-law or cousin-in-law who he totally abuses, but and then you got Jim, who is the priest. But like basically, like you have this group of friends who also are villains, comic book villains of some sort. And
again, basically,
and then
true.
But then you basically find out like all their dark secrets as they kind of bubble back up to the surface. What starts out as probably one of the most just jarring opening scenes I've ever seen, man. Like the main character legit lighting a school bus full of kids on fire. Like, Adrian.
Yeah, and like you have the superhero undertone. It's gritty. It's definitely a mature book. It's for mature readers for sure. But when you strip it all down, basically the meat and potatoes of it is it's a story of loss and how people deal with that loss.
Yeah,
right?
It's a very human story. Like it. There's a lot of real heart and emotion to it about loss and like learning to forgive yourself and other people, basically for past mistakes. So there's some good emotion to it. I mean, there's books kind of all over the place, but like in the best way possible. Like,
and you got some interesting variant covers. I think who you have the usual guy. You got Dave, who's doing who did the covers for the Kickstarter. He's doing variant the main covers, and then you have Adrian had what's his name, Marco Fantolino, the guy who did King Jira. He does a variant cover, which is pretty cool. You got Dylan. I think he's done one or two variant covers for the book as well. So you got a lot of cool, interesting covers. Adrian, actually, the editor of the book, his daughter, she's actually doing a few variants for the book as well. I think on issue 4 or 5. So yeah, he's got some interesting variant covers for the book too. So if you're into that, this book has some options for covers as well.
Yep. And if you could get a hold of like the Kickstarter variant covers by Dylan Corbisser, chef's kisses, man. That's just some of the most beautiful comics covers I've ever seen.
Yeah. Fun book, very gritty, pretty violent at times. So I mean, but it's gritty, but the book itself isn't dark. Like it's very vibrant. Like the colors, like I said, the Adrian's choice in colors. It's a beautiful book, basically, but it's still got that, like, it doesn't take away from the grittiness of it, So Yeah, it's fun. It's great. Really happy. We were really, really anxious to read the issues 3 and 4. So to be able to read it all the way up to issue 4, this is a 5 issue series. So Adrian's finishing up the 5th issue right now as we speak. So yeah, so go out there, pre-order Trakovi from Scout Comics. It's up for pre-order right now for release in July. Yeah.
So, who is your favorite character in Trakovi, Joe?
Oh man, it changes, but I think I have to go with Boris, man. I like Boris.
I think you'd like Toykov. Like,
Yeah, well, he doesn't. I like Toykov, but he doesn't get a big role in this, so you don't really get to, you know. Anyway, I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, Toykov's. They all have their charm, right?
Singh is probably the badass in my opinion.
Singh is cool, yeah. Like he flexes his muscle there at one point in the story. He's pretty cool. Yeah, they're all fun. They're all fun. Yeah, and there's twists and turns. So like who the character you like the most changes from book to book, right? Depending on their backstory, and so you get a lot of insight to each character. So it makes you sympathize and like each character from book to book because you get a lot of backstory. So you kind of understand and feel for these characters as you're reading through, right?
Even the Gilded Rabbit, you get where he's coming from.
Yeah, exactly. So fun book, definitely worth picking up. So go pre-order this one through the Diamonds. Yeah, pretty cool. Congrats to Adrian, man, getting on to Scout and actually delivering and giving us a great comic, man. It's a nice fresh book that's different from the rest, right? It's a nice to have something different like that kind of stands out. That doesn't.
The only thing I can remotely compare it to is Everything is Super. That's the only thing I know that's like anything that's anywhere like Trakovi. They're very different, but like it's the only thing I could see even being somewhat similar.
Yeah, like this weird kind of fucked up world where superheroes live, but they're not glamorized. If anything, it's the opposite. I'd say that's a good comparison. Yeah, Everything is Super. Definitely has a similar kind of vibe to it. Yeah. By what's his name? That's
Captain Rotstate.
Yeah, Rotstate. Yeah. So that's some good praise coming from Johnny on Trakovi.
Yeah,
right there.
I absolutely love Everything is Super. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it made your end of year list in 2021.
Right.
So yeah. So that's Trakovi, man. Scout Comics by Adrian Kalorek. Go order that through the Diamond Previews. You have different variant covers, so just go get take the cover you like, and man, make sure you get this pre-order in because it's definitely a fun read.
If you want to meet Adrian, you haven't quite see him talk yet. He's a really cool guy. He's going to be on our show Friday night. So yeah, if you want to check him out, we'll probably talk a little bit about Trakovi on there, even though it's going to be a music episode.
Yeah. Yeah, Adrian's definitely a personality, and it shines through his book too, right? I think his personality comes through in the book, like loud and clear, man. After meeting him and now we've known him for what, almost 2 years now, a little over a year. Yeah, man, this book screams Adrian. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what he does next. I mean, he's kind of told us, kind of hinted at a few things with us, but I'm really excited to see whatever it is now.
Yeah, because he's wrapping up Trakovi issue 5. I think he's already on the lettering, I think now, so it should be in the books pretty soon. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to our next book, Ax-Wielder Jon. This book. We got this one. We got a preview of this about a year ago.
Yeah.
When Nick launched his crowdfunding on Zoop, but we got another PDF just recently because the Zoop campaign's done. The book is done and sent to printers, so we got the final PDF, and
Yeah,
Man.
it's probably one of the most fun one of these I've read in a long time. Like it's kind of like a fun take on dark fantasy, but I really like the way the villains are portrayed in this. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like John is a cool character and everything. I do appreciate him, but like the villain side of thing, like especially with the henchmen like Horace and um what are they called? Frank and
Frank.
Bloodbath.
I didn't want to give away. I was just say Frank and the kid.
Yeah.
Because he's always like, "Hey kid, hey kid." I love those are my two favorite characters, Frank and the kid. I love those two characters. Those were my favorite ones in the story. Like just them walking around, the banter, fantastic. Loved it, love it. Yeah.
So the
So
breakdown
basically,
for this one is
yeah.
like it's basically kind of a meta story. It's kind of being told by a little girl who's an artist, but like these stories are real to her. She sees them, she feels them, she lives them, but she's also writing and drawing them. And towards the end, she kind of gets inserted into like her own fantastical world, which I thought was really neat. I can't wait to see where that goes. But yeah, this is about a character that she's created named John, who basically worked for the main villain, and like you don't really know what the bad blood between them is, but John is just number one wanted, like
He's on
most
the hit
wanted.
list. Yeah, top of the hit list.
They just
Yeah.
send like armies of dudes after this guy, and he just butchers them all. Um, Meanwhile, you get like all these other kind of like sidecaster characters talking about like the beef and the backstory a little bit here and there, which is really cool. And Nick Pitarra just nailed the art, and he actually did the art in this a really different way. The way that it's a lot of three panel grids, but like the thing that he did is like they were actually three huge drawings, like huge. I think they were 11 by 17s or something like that, and that like all got put together. So like I would love to see some of the originals of this just like in their full huge glory.
I think they're up on Felix Art, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I'd like to see them in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
See
yeah,
how
yeah. And I agree with you. The art on this is fantastic. Like I've read some of his other stuff, but this book, man, he just, whew, he brought his A game. You could tell this is his first self-titled, where it's he wrote, drew, and everything. This is his first story that he took a crack at himself. Because usually he just draws other people's stories. And I gotta say, I'm gonna use a sports analogy here because Johnny loves it when I use sports analogies. It's like a rookie ball player coming up to the plate. First pitch, first swing, home run. This is this book. Ax-Wielder Jon
I
is
did
Nick
not expect
Pitarra.
not expect you to make a baseball reference. I totally thought you were going to go with hockey, man. Wow.
Not like it's got to be a baseball reference here. Like that's like swinging on the first pitch and hitting a home run as a rookie. Your first pitch in the big leagues, man. And he just knocked it out of the park. This book is great. The story has a lot of heart. Like I mean, every character is fleshed out so well. Like we were chatting about this before, and you brought up you said maybe this will probably become a modern classic. And man, the story's not done yet. This is just book one, but whew, it's off to a great start. And I have to agree with Johnny. This has the potential of becoming a modern classic. It's that good. It's that good.
Yeah, I mean, it's being self-published by what's his comic company called?
Uh,
Koichi?
uh, let's see here. It's Kashi. Yeah, because he just started this with Chris Stevens. He and Chris Stevens started their own publisher called uh, Karoshi Comics. So this is a new imprint that he and who did I say? Chris Stevens started together, and Chris Stevens is going to put out his book under this imprint, and they have another one, Dog Days, I think it's called. It's going to be coming out. So they already have a few titles lined up, but Ax-Wielder Jon will be the debut title for this new imprint that he started with that Nick started with Chris. So man, I'm anxious to see the other books that come out because this is the first book off that imprint by Nick, and it's fantastic. It's great. Like the story, like I said,
It's over 100 pages of story.
mm-hmm.
You got a lot of back material that's probably going to be in the trade for it. So it'll
Well,
be definitely one worth getting.
it's graphic novel basically. It's an OGN, man. It's an original graphic novel. It's got the size. It's a little bit heftier than a novella. Like you said, it's got like about 100 pages, maybe slightly more, or right on.
I think it's about 115 pages of story, and then like there's a good like 60 pages of back material.
And I think that's what made this book so much more enjoyable for me. Right? You get 115 pages of the story, so you really get to immerse yourself in this world, and it just sweeps you up and doesn't let go. Like it's great. Like the action, it's violent. There's a lot of blood in this, so you know,
Yeah,
uh,
a
yeah,
lot of
it's
body parts getting there's like this panel here, like there's just this huge action set piece where him and this army of dudes are just falling through the sky together, and he's just dicing them up. It is just so glorious, and I don't know how many pages it goes on for, but like you just love looking at it. It's just so
it, yeah, it's pretty long, and it like each panel, from panel to panel, it's like the art is just, I don't know, there isn't a single panel in this book that isn't beautiful. And I have to give a shout out to the colorist on this, Michael Garland. He did a fantastic job with the colors. I mean, beautiful book. Great job with the colors. It just adds so much to the book. There's like a few shots, like close-ups of the face and stuff. And man, it's great. Fantastic job. Kudos to him. And actually, the designer on this is someone I'm familiar with as well, because they worked on Little Bird. Is Ben Didier. He did the title for the book, Ax-Wielder Jon. I love that title. It's so cool, the way it's laid out and everything. And he does all the chapter breaks and stuff in there. So he does a fantastic job. It definitely adds to the quality, the how do you say, the overall package. It's impeccable. Like, this is a great book, and I have to congratulate Nick on it for his first time out. I mean, we love it. We love this book, and I'm not sure where you're going to be able to put it up, because he reopened the Zoop about a couple weeks ago, and it's closed for people to get back on. So I'm not sure how it's going to be released once. I think it's gone to printer already, so I'm not sure how you can order this if you haven't already gotten in on the Zoop campaign. I don't know if they're going to team up with a bigger like indie publisher to put it out in comic shops, or I don't know what the plan is for that. But anyone who backed this and didn't read the PDF and they're waiting to get the hardcover to come in, man, you guys are in for a treat. Yes. Great book. Yeah, my two favorite characters, man. Frank and the kid, man.
Is that a dinosaur?
Yeah. Oh, and I love this world. Like, it's a fantasy world, but it's got like the opening scene where the little girl's drawing, telling the story. Like, she's the narrator of the story, and you see her drawing. Then you got like guns, right? On the side, you got like an arsenal of machine guns, this and that. Then there's another scene where the guy's coming up to the fortress or the castle for the main villain, and he's riding a 4-wheeler with a little trailer on the back. So you got like this mix of fantasy, like like there's dinosaurs in it, there's creatures, it's a whole mishmash. There's like no rules to it, right? He lets his imagination go, and I mean, we're all the best for it. Like, we're the ones who end up it's winning in this scenario, because it just makes for some really, really great panel layouts and action sequences, and it's fun. It's really fun. Like, I can't say enough how fun it is.
Yeah, it's a total blast. There's no other way to put it. Probably my favorite kind of weird technology thing was the first one that they showed when Horace was talking about the problem that he was having with the sightseer, and there's that one dinosaur guy using a buffer in the castle, buffing the floor. I just thought that was hella fun.
Okay. Yeah. It's like little, it's just mundane. Like, and that, like, you brought it up when we were just chatting, like the names, how you said you loved everyone's names. And it's all like just dumb names, like Frank, right? Like Horace, you got John, like, it's just pretty run of the mill names for most of them. Like none of them have like these like Lord of the Rings, like like these weird fantastical names. It's all like short, like pretty simple names for the most part, which I think adds to the charm of the whole book.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I just love the approach that he took with it. I mean, I remember seeing him post stuff on Instagram, and I was getting excited because I enjoyed a lot of the stuff he was showing. And then, it's great, fucking really good. And I love that sequence that you showed, like leading up to that sequence on the bridge where they show up and Frank and the kid are there. That whole sequence is fantastic. There's a double splash page, which is so glorious, man. When you guys get that book, when you're gonna open that splash page,
The
so good.
Room?
With the dinosaur. The kid with the dinosaur. Yeah. There's a splash page there. Oh, it's so good.
Literally
so good.
A splash page.
Yeah. It's good. There's like that's just one that jumps out because it's a double, right? Splash page. So that one's great, and that's going to be like, when you open that, it's going to be a great turn page right there. So, yeah, there's some good stuff, great stuff in this book.
And it's a good read. Like you can get through it in one sitting. It doesn't feel like it's long at all, but it is a nice, good, like I said, 100-page story. So far,
and it'll have you coming back. Right, just to be like, I want to see that page again because it was so beautiful and awesome. Like, you just want to go back and look through it just because the art is that good in it. Yeah, you're gonna want to just flip through it just visually. It's glorious, right? So you're just going to want to like you want to leave it on the coffee table. Someone opens this up, and even if they're not a comic fan, they'll be impressed by this book. I mean, this is probably a good book if you want to try to convert someone into comics. This is definitely a title that you could try to give someone that'll get it if you want to get them hooked on comics. I'd be like, this is definitely a good title to do it.
Yeah, especially if they're a nerd but not quite into comics, like if they like Game of Thrones or something like that. Of course, this is quite a bit. I don't know if you could say it's more lighthearted, but like it comes off that way just because of how charming everything is. Even the so.
Well, I think he took a very tongue-in-cheek approach to it. It's fantasy, but he's kind of poking fun at the fantasy genre at the same time. Like he's having fun with it. So, yeah, man. This, I'd give this a 10 on 10. I mean, I haven't read a book in a while that got me this hyped and this excited. So, yeah, really good stuff.
Yeah, I was pretty hyped to check it out, but like after I read it, I was just blown away. I remember hitting you up and telling you that like it's kind of sad that this is something he had to like crowdfund because it's just so good. You know what I mean? Like this should be like a dark horse hit. You know what I mean? Or like a big Image book, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I'm sure if he made a phone call, any publisher will team up with them with what I say. Karoshi imprint, like comics, they'll team up with them for sure. I mean, this book is it speaks for itself. Karoshi Comics is their imprint, so I mean, I think they could have the pick. Call any publisher and they'll be like, "Yep, we're on board. Let's do it." And his crowdfunding did 200K, so that just goes to show, man. Like that's a strong campaign. 200K is strong.
Well, he's always been a really good artist, though. I mean,
like,
like I'm a fan. Like, so, like I've pretty much known about who he was since the Red Wing came out. So,
but like let's say the Manhatten Projects is another book that he worked on with Hickman. Like a lot of people are probably familiar with that. There's that one, but where I read a book of his and really it struck me was Immortal Hulk number 33. That's Nick Pitarra did that issue. And I remember reading that and I was like, holy shit, I love this stuff. And then it clicked after. Like at first when I read it, I was like, it didn't click, but like he's refined his style. I think he's found this is probably Nick Pitarra. This is probably the type of stuff he's going to be doing for the rest of his career. Like, this is his art form at its finest. Like, I think he's refined it to its finest point right now. Like, this book is his grand opus. I mean, it's great.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that's our hot flashes, man. 2 books, 2 reviews. We got Trakovi, awesome, gritty book by Adrian Kaloric. That's in the previews right now, ready to order. Pre-order that. Comes out in July. That's through Scout Comics. So go in the Diamond previews under Scout Comics and look for Trakovi, created by Adrian Kaloric. And we also reviewed Ax-Wielder Jon by Nick Pitarra. Both great books. Once Nick puts out more news on how you can get your hands on Ax-Wielder Jon, I suggest you don't hesitate and go out there and buy it, because I wouldn't be surprised if that book sells out once it comes out, once it's out in comic shops or bookstores or whatever. So, and look for that one as well. As go follow Nick on socials. Or I don't think they don't have a site up yet for their imprint, so I'm not sure exactly how it's going to be released to the general public after it's printed. So just keep your eyes open for that one. See how you can get it if you missed out on the crowdfunding for that.
Right. And then Friday, like I said, we're going to be back with the new episode of Pink Distortion, and we're going to have a pretty big panel for that. I think Pew Pew Kid's going to be back. Adrian's going to be back. Who else is going to be there, Joey?
I don't have everything confirmed yet, but Adrian confirmed. So Adrian will be there, like you said. If you want to meet Adrian and people, if you don't know who he is and you like what you hear about him here today about Trakovi, well, you want to get to know him better. We did an episode on Trakovi for the Kickstarter you can go check out, or you can check out certain episodes that he's been on. He's been on a few times, like Johnny said. So, yeah, come check it out. We're going to be talking about our favorite live albums on Friday for our music episode. So if you're into live albums and curious to see what some of our picks are, or want to share some of your favorite albums with us, come hang out with us on Friday.
Hell yeah. So see you then. Take it
All right.
easy. Have a great week.
Have a great week, everyone.